Welcome to Resiliency Talks, a podcast where we celebrate the invincible human spirit and the triumph of the human will. Hosted by Essi Bagheri, a former child soldier refugee who has walked through 17 treatment centers, 29 detoxes, and experienced homelessness. Today, Essi stands as a beacon of hope and resilience, having transformed his life to become a productive member of society, a TEDx speaker, a published author, and the host of this very podcast. Essi's mission is to share his journey of overcoming addiction and trauma, and to inspire and empower others to find their own path to healing. Join us as we explore stories of courage, perseverance, and the transformative power of resilience.
Hi, welcome to Resiliency Talks, where we talk about addiction, mental health, trauma, and how we can overcome these obstacles. The aim of this show is to inform and educate people that there is help. And today I have a special guest that I personally bought, 8 to 9 or 10 of her course, and they're amazing. And it's going to be a great conversation. Welcome to the show, Dr. Cali.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So to start, what really got me interested is the book that you wrote, I Married a Junkie. And tell me, how did you get in this line of work? And if you can talk about a little bit about how it makes you to come on, made you to write that book.
So I was married to somebody for 14 years that when we met, wasn't really using drugs and alcohol per se, occasionally drinking here and there, but turned to opiates and ended up doing oxy, which led to heroin, which led to fentanyl. And he passed away about a year ago from long-term drug use. So we wrote the book in 2018 about him getting sober and what it was like, because there's multiple car crashes and arrests and overdoses and all that fun stuff. But prior to that, I had been in this industry 20 some years. So I've always been in the addiction mental health space. Mm-hmm. I myself suffered from an eating disorder and a diet pill speed addiction. So I kind of felt like this was my natural realm. And then I branched off into private practice in 2012 because I saw so many people that were in a revolving door in treatment. They would come in, they would come out, they would come in, they would come out. And I started thinking, what's missing? And then it was like the aftercare. We don't have coaches to coach them. We don't have people that are boots on the ground. Because if you think of a therapist, you have them once a week, Tuesday at 5 p.m. They're not going to answer you Saturday at noon when you need them. But a recovery coach would, or a trauma coach or a mental health coach. So then I started creating courses to fulfill the need of what we didn't have. Mm-hmm. And it started off with 2 courses back in 2014, and it was intervention and recovery coaching. And now, as of today, we have 45 different certifications in 40 different countries. Wow. So we are growing fairly well, and we have a lot of people that are taking them and using them to get on A&E's intervention, or start their own company, or do sober companion work, or work for a treatment center, or open a treatment center. Mm-hmm. So it's been very productive in terms of getting people to help people.
So, Dr. Cali, what motivates you to start the Addiction Academy? Yes, you're saying you started that, but was it a deeper reason that you felt that it's needed for this industry? What was there a core reason?
So I was seeing individual clients myself for coaching and for therapy, and I noticed I was getting burnt out because I couldn't see enough patients per day. Meaning there was more patients than there were coaches to handle the work. And I started thinking there needs to be more trained people. So I went to Google back in 2014 and I Googled, sober companion recovery coach, and there weren't a lot of people doing the work. And I thought it's needed. So I created the course for people to become trained and certified so they could actually help me with the clients I already had. And that kind of went gangbusters. Yeah.
I see. I see. There is the question that I get asked that many people they don't understand. There is a difference between sober coaches or people that in doing that kind of work and sponsor and the 12 steps. And if you could please describe the reason and how important it is to have a coach as a sober coach.
So a sponsor is a peer-driven service per se. So there's
Yes.
no money involved. It's somebody who's been through the experience that's giving you their take or their opinion on something. They're not considered credentialed. They're not considered book educated. They're experience educated. So it's very similar to like two friends having coffee, discussing a topic. They're going to give you
Yes.
their opinion and what worked for them. With coaching, we don't give you our opinion, and we generally don't share what worked for us. We keep it more in a broad sense of how we're going to get you where you need to go, because everybody's path to sobriety is going to be different. For me, I went to a gym. I learned yoga. That's what got me sober. That doesn't work for everybody. Meetings don't work for everybody. Church doesn't work for everybody. So as a coach, we stay neutral, and we can work with multiple different pathways to sobriety and recovery, because we're not going to tell you, you must do this. So if you look at the sponsorship, the first step is you have to give your will up to a higher power. Well, somebody says, well, I don't believe in a higher power. They're not going to go find a sponsor because they don't agree with something right there in the core concepts. As a coach, we say, I don't care who your higher power is. We're going to work on getting you unstuck. We're going to work on getting you sober. We're going to work on handling the things that keep you stuck in life and the coping mechanisms that you're using, drugs and alcohol, to get through those things that are keeping you stuck. So it's a very different approach.
Yeah, so that's totally my experience. You know, I don't know, some of my, like, I've been to 17 treatment center, 29 D. So I experienced, but I experienced people. There are people that they get they don't believe in 12 steps and they get a recovery coach, and but eventually when they start going to meeting and they're in a better mental state, I see majority of people would fall to that. It's like they align to 12 steps or other method. But one of the obstacle that including myself, I wanted to be in this field for many years, but I had this idea that, oh, it's you know, it's gonna impact my sobriety because I'm in 12 steps. But then I learned that there's more into it, as you explained. When you have a super coach, and right now I'm in a field that I know majority of people, there's something about recovery when you overcome and you feel the impact that yourself, and you want to help other people. I get messages, how can I get into this field? How can I be a sober coach? How can I do an intervention? And these are the services you provide, isn't it?
Correct, exactly. And then we help them. We have a job board. So we
Okay.
do some job placement. We do hire from within. So I have a company called Sober on Demand, where we do medical detox, nursing, sober companion, sober coach, therapy, mental health, all of that. So a lot of our students will come to us and say, hey, can you hire me? Absolutely. If we have the work, we'll put you on as a 1099 independent contractor, and you will either work with the client by Zoom or in person or travel, depending on where they are. So we have that. And we also have relationships with different treatment centers that are hiring. So part of the things we give the student when they come through for the training, it's not just the training and certification. We have an entire resource student guide that they get. And we have the largest Facebook group for addiction and networking, addiction and mental health networking. So treatment centers in there will post a job. If somebody needs a sober companion for a client, they'll post it in there, and you can answer that and say, hey, here I am. And you can network with other professionals to get the work as well. So we have that. We also have ways to help them set up their own business. If they want to run credit cards, we have $1,000 credit we can give them from Square Up. We have constant contact for emails. They can get 6 months for free to try it out. So we have all these things. We even have a directory that they can get listed under to get clients to call them. So it's not just here, get trained, now go figure it out. We want them to be successful, because if they're successful, we're successful. So those are all bonus freebies that we give them once they take the class.
I see. No, as I said, I bought, I don't know, 8, 9 of your course 2 years ago, and I got into a accident. Anyways, long story short, but I'm very impressed. One of the you done a lot of intervention,
Mhm.
and I want to ask you a few things regarding intervention. What is like, because also our viewers are people, family members of addicts, alcoholics, that they watch this and say, okay, how can the interventionists or Dr. Cali or people that are in field can help me? What is if you explain what is the intervention?
So an intervention is when you have a family member who doesn't want to get help. So you say, hey, you really should go to treatment. And they say, no, I don't need to go. I don't have a problem. And it's getting worse. They might have a DUI. They might have lost their job. Their partner may be filing for divorce. So we
Hmm.
come in with the family and we structure a setting where we talk to them and say, you don't have any more options. Now you need to go to treatment. And intervention doesn't work for everybody, but the right client, it will work beautifully for. So if you have a client who is financially dependent on other people, an intervention is great. If you have
Hmm.
a client who's about to lose everything, their job, their home, their car, their family, an intervention is great. The only time it doesn't work is when we're dealing with an executive who pays their own bills. For example, they haven't lost their job. They haven't missed a mortgage payment.
Hmm.
They haven't had a DUI. They don't have any consequences. And then the intervention will fall flat because there's no bottom that's going to drop on that. And they're what's considered a functioning addict. So they may be drinking in excess, but it hasn't affected their life enough for us to come in and intervene and say there's a better solution because there hasn't been a problem yet. So,
Yet, and
right.
the key word is yet. And I believe that in my experience that majority of people, including myself, Dr. Kelly, that I had to get to the point that we call hit the bottom. And
Mhm.
there's no door number three, either getting help or doing drugs and alcohol and eventually die and destroying the family or who whatever that around us. Some of our viewers would be more interested to know, is this the process after, for example, intervention? Why it is crucial to have an structure, as you describe it very beautifully, that they have to have it because going to treatment center is one thing, but what is the crucial uh, point and benefits for having a sober coach or a group that take care of not just the addicts or alcoholic, but also the family?
Family. Yeah. So when someone comes out of treatment, well, while they're in treatment, we offer family coaching because the
Hmm.
family has no idea what's going on in there. And they have a misconception that the client's going to come out and be cured. So they're going to come out, they're going to get a job, they're going to be productive, they're going to feel amazing, and life is going to be completely different.
Hmm.
That's not accurate. So when the client comes out, they feel good, not 100%, but they're not ready to jump into cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids, walking the dogs, working full time, laundry, all that stress. And then their spouse, who's been doing it for the whole month, or their parents, is now like, oh, thank God you're here. Here's all the
Hmm.
issues. As soon as they do that, the person relapses. And then the family goes, well, we just spent all this money and all this time and you didn't get it right. They blame the client. And then the treatment center blames the client and says, well, you didn't get it right. So if you don't have support when you leave treatment, you will fail. I mean, there's a 1% population that make it without support. You need a recovery coach, you need a therapist, you need boots on the ground that are able to help
Hmm.
you, listen to your problems and help you navigate what's in front of you in real time. Because when all those stressors hit, what happens is you're going to reach for drugs or alcohol because that's what you have always done. That's
Hmm.
why treatment has such a high fail rate. Treatment has a 95% fail rate because they pull you out of the environment, put you in a bubble, and they say, okay, nobody here is using drugs or alcohol for 30 days. Okay, so you don't use drugs or alcohol. But when you get out, drugs and alcohol are there. The stressors are there. None of that's been alleviated. And all of a sudden, you've got people yelling at you, get to work, get out of bed, brush your teeth, go do this, boom, boom, boom. And you're right back to, I can't handle this. And it's much easier to get high to deal with that. So if you have a coach or a companion, somebody there with you, you're going to navigate that much better because they're going to help you. And that's why I ended up doing Sober on Demand, because instead of throwing you in treatment, we bring it to you. So you get sober in your environment. So when those stressors hit, we're there. And I teach the recovery coaches and companions, that's such a good business model, because now as the client starts to feel a certain way, you're not waiting for them to hit bottom again. You're there. You can say to them, what's going on? Let's go for a coffee. Let's go for a walk. Let's go to the gym. Let's shift your thinking. And I teach all the coaches 21 and 21. It takes 21 minutes to change your mindset, 21 days to change a habit. So for 21 minutes, you get your mind preoccupied on not getting high. That feeling is going to go down. And if you have a new pattern of behavior for 21 days, you will shift your thinking. So if you think of it this way, if you get up in the middle of the night every night and have a snack, let's say you have a cupcake at 2 a.m. and you want to break that pattern, it's very simple. When you get out of bed, you have to have a new piece of furniture in your way. So you have to go around it. Your brain will then go, okay, to get to that cupcake, I have to navigate this sofa. It's new. It creates a new neural pathway. Then if you don't have cupcakes in the house, it'll navigate the sofa and maybe you'll have a banana there instead of a cupcake. So the brain says, well, I really want a cupcake, but there's a banana. And then eventually your brain goes, ooh, banana. And then eventually you'll switch it to something else. It could be ice chips or whatever. And eventually your brain will go, I don't want that. I have to navigate the sofa to get to the ice chip. I don't need it. But that's what's happening when you have a sober companion or a recovery coach. You're changing that in real time. And it's literally changing the science of your brain. That's how crazy it is, because you've got that person there with you.
That's that's amazing. Thank you for explaining it. I noticed that searching you that you've done a lot of you've been on TV, you've been on CNN, you've been on many other platform. What was your experience to working with high profile client?
They're complicated, entitled, have the same problems as everybody else. They just have more resources. And it's getting through to the reason of why, just like everyone else. Why do you use? How did you get here? Where do you want to go? It's that simple.
That's simple.
And it could be trauma. It could be people pleasing. It could be anxiety. It could be mental health. It could be any reason they use. Once we figure that out, it shifts everything.
So it is. So you're offering so many different courses, Dr. Cali, that I cannot even start naming them. But one of the I think connection between addiction and trauma is huge. And what makes you to start that course? Because that's also helping the coaches and people taking that course to help their client, because majority of people, including myself, been through complex trauma. If you could please explain a little bit of the connection between the two.
So trauma is perceived. And the problem is people say, okay, well, that's not a big enough trauma. For example, you can have two clients, and let's say both grew up in a divorced household. One client may internalize that divorce as it's my fault, the parents didn't stay together, I'm the bad person, if I was only better. So they will grow up people pleasing, picking bad relationships, using drugs and alcohol, and repeating the same trauma. The other person may have gone, well, those are crazy parents, it's not me, it's them, and grown up completely different. They may use drugs and alcohol for a different reason. When you break it down, the trauma is perceived. So the client who says, it's not my fault, it's them, would say to the other client, you know, put your big girl panties on. It's not your problem. Stop being anxious, you know, and that's not traumatic. Trauma is losing your child, or trauma is losing your spouse. What you experienced isn't trauma, so they downplay it. Then that person who's anxious, using drugs and alcohol, people pleasing, has learned all these bad behaviors to cope with the trauma. Now they hear, well, this really isn't a problem. I'm making this up. I'm crazy. So now they feel even worse and continue using because they go, something's wrong with me. Instead of somebody going, you're right. Your parents divorced. That was a horrible trauma. How do we fix that? How do we unravel you being involved in their divorce? How do we get you to feel whole? How do we get you to realize that that 5-year-old child that you were is not the reason your parents divorced? And there's exercises for that. Just to give your listeners a quick one, if you take crayon and a piece of paper and you write with your non-dominant hand and you write yourself a letter as if you were that child that's 5 and give yourself forgiveness, it's super powerful because you hold stress in your body and you hold trauma in your body, and you will go from being rigid and, like this to just completely relaxed and crying, and all that's going to come out. So the body stores trauma, the mind stores trauma. And then we have people saying, well, that's not traumatic, or what you experienced really isn't as bad as other people. So that's why I created the course, is I wanted coaches to be able to say trauma is perceived, and what you went through, we're going to validate it. We're going to make you feel whole. And then we're going to unleash the trauma and unravel yourself from it. So maybe you experienced it, but you are not the trauma you experienced. So it's kind of it's a complex class, but if you have trauma, it will make sense to you if you take it.
That's awesome. Thank you. I noticed, Dr. Cali, that majority of people that I know, when they get sober and they build their life, there's something about they want to do the same thing for others, and then that's what they like. There's something about that, including myself. I'm this time, as I said, I first treatment center was 26 years ago, and I've been to 17 treatment center, 29 detoxes in and out of the rooms and detox, and now coming up to 10 years. My experience is like, I love helping people, and I felt like, you know what, yes, I want to do something to make a living, but at the same time something that give me purpose. And is that that's been your experience with the client that take this kind of courses?
Yeah, I've actually had a couple of my clients, couple celebrity clients, come through the courses because they said, I love acting, but I love making people feel good. And there's nothing better than getting a client's email or phone call that just says, hey, I'm sober, I got 10 years, thank you. I had a client's wife reach out to me, and she said, so-and-so's got 10 years sober, and he credits you as the only person who could do it. And I haven't heard from this person in 10 years. And she's like, we're throwing him a party. Can you send him just a little video that says, hey, congratulations, good job. And, because she said it would mean a lot. He's the person that, she credits you for doing it. And I'm thinking, I'm running back in my head, like, what did I do different? And I didn't do anything different that I wouldn't with any other client. But that, hearing that is awesome. This person helped me, or, you changed my life. And then that trickles down. And he went on to become a sober coach and helped other people. So now he's helping people help other people. So that in itself is pretty awesome, because as, one individual, I can only help so many people. But if I can train 10, 20, 30, 40, 4,000 people, they're helping people. And then it becomes that big circle.
Yes, as I said, you started with 2 courses, intervention and sober coaching, and now it's so can you please, Dr. Cali, explain about the credential and the things that I'm in Canada, Vancouver, Canada, and the legality of, for example, the certificate that they get after they went through your courses. And if you talk a few minutes regarding that, that would be great.
Sure. So right now, coaching wise, there's no credential in Canada or the US that says you have to have this. Okay. And Canada is very interesting for counseling too. For mental health, you have to have a very specific degree and an exam. But for addiction, you technically have to have the CACCF designation, which credits us, which is an ICRC over umbrella. So ICRC is global, and they're private, and they cover counseling, not coaching. So if you want to go through the counseling route, you'll go through the ICNRC, you'll pick your board, that's your state or your country, and then you're part of the conglomerate, and you can flip that if you move. You can also use it for telehealth. But when it comes to coaching, the body that governs coaching is the International Coaching Federation. So we're part of them as well. And they're global as well. They're in the EU, the States, they're in South America, Canada. So they look at coaching and say it's a different set of standards than counseling. So if you take either course, you'll be accredited by either body, the ICF or the ICNRC. And then we have some local different designations as well, depending on the state you're in, for what you're looking for. So everything is different in the country you're in. Like the EU has no governance on counseling and coaching, which is really crazy. So the ICF is trying to scramble to get, some standardization amongst us, because, there's an ethics course we require you take, and you need to understand legal. If you're picking a client up in your car, what can happen? And a lot of that falls under the umbrella of the certification, so you know the correct way to do things. Okay. Plus, you want insurance. That's super important. If you're not certified and credentialed, you cannot get insurance as a coach or a counselor, and you should have both. And I tell everybody, you need a minimum of $500,000 and $1 million policy, because if something happens, you need to be covered. Well, you can't get that unless you're credentialed. Can't get credentialed unless you're certified. So it's this sort of snowball. But we help everybody through that whole process.
It's I know that this is there's so many questions that I have. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure that Dr. Kelly, we're going to do if you have time in future, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are interested to learn more, and many people ask me about your courses, which I highly recommend. And for the conclusion, any last word that you wanna tell our audience?
Just make sure you use your affiliate link. Essi has an affiliate link. If you click that, it'll take you right to the website. You can see all of the classes. And then get registered there. You can also become an affiliate as well if you want. And if you have any questions, reach out to us directly. There's a pop-up form on there. You can ask a specific question, or you can call us. The number is 1-800-706-0318. We do have several staff that can answer any questions you have pertaining to the credentialing or the course or what you're trying to do.
Thank you. Of course, I'm going to put all the links regarding your academy on the description. And thank you so much, Dr. Cali, for taking your time and come and give us some of the background regarding addiction and Addiction Academy. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. And again, thank you for watching and listening to another episode of Resiliency Talks.
Thank you for joining us for another inspiring episode of Resiliency Talks. If you've been touched by today's episode and feel inspired to continue on your own journey of resilience, I encourage you to subscribe to our podcast for future episodes filled with wisdom, insight, and encouragement. Together, we can cultivate a community of support and empowerment. And remember, no matter what obstacles lie ahead, you are never alone. Visit our website at donotgiveupnow.com to access resources, connect with others on similar paths, and find the support you need to keep moving forward. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, always remember, resilience is not just a trait, it's a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Keep believing, keep striving, and never give up.